Welcome everyone, Dr. Morse, Injury Experts. It is week 13. The season is flying by. Some big wins today, some big losses today. A relatively quiet day for big scoring games. The Denver Broncos are currently slightly leading the Washington Commanders as we record this. There were several games on Thanksgiving. There was the Black Friday game, and then there were a bunch of games today. My Patriots play the Giants tomorrow night, hopefully to extend the division lead and the conference lead. There were a significant number of injuries today, some potentially big names here. I'm going to start with quarterbacks, then I'll go to running backs, wide receivers, and finally tight ends. I will discuss a couple of non-offensive, i.e. Sauce Gardner and Malik Collins at the end. Justin Herbert, potentially the biggest injury of the day, ended up suffering a left finger fracture, probably the middle phalanx. Sounds like he's having surgery tomorrow. I just did a full deep dive in this if you want to see it. I give him about a 50 to 60% chance to play next Monday night. At most, he will miss probably one game, maybe two, depending on specifics. I suspect Dr. Shin will do this in LA tomorrow morning. Now, Aaron Rodgers left the game after getting rocked. Maybe he landed on his hand, but it looked like his nose was bleeding. He did not have a very good day, and they got crushed. Josh Allen ended up getting another rushing touchdown and leading, as far as I know, leading all rushing QBs ever. And James Cook went absolutely nuclear. I think he got 35 rushing attempts, which is bananas because we always assume he didn't have the size to handle the volume. Go figure. There were several running backs that got injured. Aaron Jones likely re-injured his left AC sprain that he initially suffered. I want to say it was in week 8 or 9, and it was early November. He tweaked it again a couple weeks later, but never missed any time. And then he tweaked it again this game. I don't know if he ever returned to the game. This is likely an AC sprain, similar to last time. But if he injured it a little bit more, there's a possibility he misses time. Jordan Mason has not looked very good in his absence. And Brosmer somehow was even worse than J.J. McCarthy. So we'll see how that plays out. As far as Woody Marks, he left the game. It looks like a mild midfoot sprain. Wouldn't be surprised if they put a carbon fiber insert in his shoe. Ended up coming back to the game, but I believe Nick Chubb ended up getting the touchdown. Marks had the better day, though, if I remember correctly. We saw on Thursday that Josh Jacobs actually had a pretty good game coming back from that left, or I think it was a left knee sprain, maybe very, very mild PCL sprain, but overall ended up having a good game. Dylan Sampson suffered a calf strain today, or calf injury, likely a strain. Would not be surprised if this holds him out for several weeks. Judkins had a really good day, although they didn't do a whole lot on offense. And we will probably see Jerome Ford, who was banged up in his own right, step in as that RB2 role going forward if Dylan Sampson were to miss any time. Wide receivers, we will see Amon-Ra St. Brown suffer a ankle injury, which initially looked like a left high ankle sprain, but then when you looked at the video, maybe his right ankle was a little banged up too. There was not really good video, and then we eventually hear that it was actually not a high ankle, it was actually a low ankle, but this could be more of a medial ankle or inner ankle as opposed to a lateral ankle. Nonetheless, the suspicion is that maybe he can play in week 14, but if not, probably week 15. As far as other wide receivers, we saw Marvin Harrison Jr. come back from his appendix removal, appendectomy, and have a pretty good day, but unfortunately left with a heel injury. Him and Michael Wilson Jr., who didn't have as good of a day, ended up getting the same target share, but Marvin Harrison ended up having a better day, and they did not manage to pull off the game. Xavier Restrepo, the undrafted free agent from Miami, who plays for the Tennessee Titans, in his second game, looks to potentially suffer a potentially significant right ankle injury, so we'll have to see that. He had to get carted off and so on and so forth, so this could be potentially season ending for him, unfortunately. You know, there was a couple other guys injured. Parker Washington with a hip injury that he never returned back from, which is not usually super concerning, so it's unlikely to be a hip pointer, usually, which is basically a bruise. Usually these guys return pretty quickly and sometimes even finish the game. Hip flexor, sometimes a little bit more concerning, but we'll have to keep an eye on this. We ended up seeing, after he left, we ended up seeing a lot more volume for Jacoby Myers and for Brenton Strange, despite Brian Thomas Jr. returning from his high ankle sprain. So we'll have to see how this plays out going forward. Finally, the two defensive players that I want to talk about. Sauce Gardner left the game with what appeared to be a left calf strain. It sounds like it's on the more milder side. I tweeted about this if you want to see. He was spotted on the sidelines in a boot, which usually is for foot injuries, but sometimes you will use it for a calf injury if you want to basically tell the player to not really do a whole lot with that leg. And there's a possibility he misses 1 to 2 games, although calves are tricky and you do not want to return too quickly because you will definitely re-aggravate it. I believe his name is Malik Collins. I think he's a Browns defensive tackle. Ended up suffering a potentially significant left knee injury. It looked like a torn patellar tendon. It could be quad, but usually the angle was more patellar, which would be significant and definitely season-ending. These are tough injuries to come back from, so we'll have to see how that plays out, but potentially significant injury there. There's a bunch of guys potentially coming back. We still have the last group of players going on to bye next week. There's 4 teams, I believe. There were no byes this week, and then we turn over to the month of December in the home stretch for both fantasy playoffs as well as significant regular season implications for playoffs. I will give you more information as we can. This will be your Week 13 injury wrap-up from the Injury Experts. If you like the content, do me a favor, smash the thumbs up, subscribe, and check out some of the other videos I did for specific players that were injured heading into this week and that were injured today.